Assalamualaikum dan terima kasih kerana terus setia bersama kami. We Hear You kembali lagi dengan satu episod yang baru. Terima kasih kepada semua penonton setia yang telah banyak memberi sokongan sepanjang 2 musim. Dan dalam musim ketiga ni kita menjanjikan konten yang lebih bermanfaat, yang lebih bersasar kepada anda sebagai pemilik-pemilik perniagaan di luar sana. Seterusnya kita akan bawakan tetamu yang tak lain dan tak bukan mempunyai kerja yang saya rasa adalah pekerjaan idaman semua, iaitu dengan makan saja dia memang boleh cari makan. Bukan setakat makan makanan tetapi juga boleh mencipta satu peluang perniagaan yang tersendiri. Jadi dengan itu saya bawakan ke studio bersama dengan saya pada kali ini Rhys William.
Hai, apa khabar?
Khabar baik Rhys. Macam mana? Sudah makan ke belum?
Ni dah makan breakfast dah tadi.
Kepada yang tidak mengenali, Rhys ni fasih berbahasa Melayu. Jadi mukadimahnya lah saya nak bertanya, how did you end up in Malaysia?
Okay. It's an interesting story actually. So I actually first came to Malaysia in 2012 on holiday. So it was just your typical sort of holiday trip. I came here for a few weeks. There was something in the environment, the atmosphere here that just made me feel like there's more to see. So actually a year later I came back and I said to myself, okay, I'm doing my own business. How can I sort of make it work in Malaysia? Let's go back for a few months, see how it sort of works out. If it works out, we'll stay. If not, we can always go back. And then it turned from, a few months to a few years and then now 12 years.
Wow.
That's the condensed version of the story.
So to set the record straight, ramai yang mungkin beranggap bahawa Rhys ni sesuatu yang dicari tu, something that kept you here was a woman. But the truth of the story is,
I think actually it was more banyak faktor lah. Like the environment, the I think young people now say the vibes, the suasana, makanan, everything. But actually wasn't a woman.
Dia sudah pun berkahwin pada ketika itu dan datang sini bersama dengan pasangannya. Jadi memang merupakan suatu yang di luar jangkaan ramai di luar sana. Tetapi bagaimana Rhys boleh fasih berbahasa Melayu? Apa yang mendorong Rhys untuk belajar? Sebab saya banyak kenal juga rakan-rakan yang daripada negara lain yang sampai sekarang tak boleh cakap sepatah perkataan. Ada juga rakyat Malaysia yang mungkin kurang fasih berbanding dengan Rhys sendiri.
Saya rasa sebenarnya bila saya baru sampai di Malaysia, saya tak macam cakap banyak sebenarnya. Saya memang dia boleh kata dalam bubble orang luar. So macam kalau saya jumpa dengan kawan ke, saya akan cari orang UK ke. Tapi lepas saya fikir, okay, saya memang nak menetap di negara lain. Saya memang kena, macam make an effort untuk betul-betul masuk dekat negara tu. So masa tu saya betul-betul minat dengan hiking. So saya ada cari satu group hiking online, local punya group. Saya pergi hiking, lepas tu saya belajar sikit daripada diorang. Lepas tu saya sendiri buat macam inisiatif, okay, saya nak betul-betul faham bahasa ni. Saya kena sendiri make an effort untuk belajar. Sebab kalau di Kuala Lumpur, memang cakap English kita boleh survive.
Boleh, betul.
So saya sendiri make an effort. So masa tu setiap hari Sabtu saya akan pergi pasar. Dan saya cabar diri sendiri, okay, bila pergi pasar ni jangan cakap sepatah English. Walaupun saya punya BM memang kurang sangat, saya akan paksa diri untuk belajar. So rasanya sebab itu saya dapat tangkap bahasa semua tu.
And because of that, you've lost your accent.
I know, right?
It's like I can't tell where you're from now. Because with most English speakers or native speakers, you can tell where they're from, be it the American accent or the UK accent. I don't know. I place you somewhere in South Africa. Where are you actually from?
Actually from South London, so just outside of London, Surrey. My kampung, right? My hometown is Red Hill, Bukit Merah, just outside of London. But yeah, that's the thing. We actually normally there have quite a strong British London accent, but it's completely gone now.
Right. You're very accent neutral to a certain extent, and because of the influence of the Malay language on your English, I think you're sounding more and more like you're from Johannesburg.
Somewhere in the middle, right?
Somewhere in the middle. So, seterusnya kita akan cuba bertanya tentang perniagaan anda. Sebab perniagaan anda sudah menjangkaui apa yang anda mulakan dulu. Apa yang anda mulakan dulu adalah sebuah siaran di channel YouTube, dan cara anda makan itu menjadi tarikan kepada para penonton sebab anda juga fasih berbahasa Melayu. Mungkin Rhys boleh mulakan dengan memberitahu kepada penonton kita tentang bagaimana idea untuk memulakan channel YouTube itu timbul.
Okay, sebenarnya mungkin ramai orang tengok dalam apa yang saya buat, macam apa yang jadi sekarang sebenarnya macam dirancang. Tapi sebenarnya tak juga. Masa saya mula-mula datang Malaysia, saya memang ada bisnes sendiri berkaitan dengan digital marketing.
Oh, wow.
So ada buat website, video, SEO semua. Sebab ni dah 10 tahun, 12 tahun lepas. So masa tu saya ada pengalaman dengan website. So bila saya mula belajar BM, saya ada dapat nasihat dari satu kawan, why not you cuba buat blog macam tulis dalam BM untuk praktis macam mana nak susun ayat semua. So saya buka satu blog dan saya tulislah pasal makanan. Sebab saya suka makan. Saya ada cerita pasal saya pergi kedai ni, pergi sini. So itulah bermula sebagai konten makanan. Sebenarnya dari situ, mula-mula tak ada orang baca pun blog. Sebab saya boleh tengok statistik. Ada 1-2 view saya yang tengok kan. Tapi ada satu hari tak tahu macam mana dia dah jadi viral dekat Facebook group. Ada orang share blog. Macam, wow, Mak Salleh ni tulis bla 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 kan. Lepas tu ada orang datang baca blog. So dah mula pressure lah. Macam, oh alamak ada orang yang baca blog. Lepas tu ada orang komen, oh Rhys cuba pergi sini, Rhys kita nak tengok video you cakap juga. So di situlah bermula konten sebenarnya. Tapi dia tak pernah sangka pun dia akan jadi macam full time sampai sekarang dah 10 tahun buat benda ni.
Dan nama Mak Salleh Cari Makan tu, macam mana Rhys selesa dengan menggunakan nama itu?
Okay, so masa saya mula-mula belajar BM dulu, saya ada banyak tengok rancangan TV, jalan-jalan cari makan. So, yelah, tu antara sumber saya belajar pasal makanan dan juga belajar pasal bahasa kan. Lepas tu saya fikir, okay, saya Mak Salleh, why not saya buka blog, Mak Salleh jalan-jalan cari makan. Tapi kita pendekkan sikit, Mak Salleh cari makan, lepas tu dia macam, oh okay, dia ada bunyi, dia macam fit juga. Tak apalah, kita pakai nama tu untuk blog. So memang blog tu maksallehcarimakan.com. Lepas tu lama-lama sebab Rhys, kalau orang tengok Rhys tu, RHYS, dia macam mana nak sebut ni? Oh, Mak Salleh Cari Makan senang orang ingat. So secara tak langsung dia dah jadi macam brand sendiri dah.
Sebab orang-orang macam kamu ni, dia sebenarnya membongkar rahsia kita. Mak Salleh tu, cara kita bercakap tentang awak, tanpa awak tahu kita bercakap tentang awak.
Sekarang dah tahu dah.
Sekarang semua orang dah tahu. It's our way of, talking about people from other parts of the world without them knowing. But now everyone knows. So the Southeast Asian, little hidden secret is out of the bag.
Out already, right?
Out of the bag. Way out of the bag. Farang, Mak Salleh, Kwailo, all got it.
Right? We know now, right?
So the next question I have for you is about food, because you come from the UK where food tastes a certain way.
Yes.
I'm not going to comment on how it tastes, but, compared to how we make our food here, it's very different.
Yes.
We have all these spice-infused recipes and, I wouldn't say healthy or unhealthy, but definitely delicious. So how did you adapt to the food here?
So actually, it took a little bit of time to adapt to the food. I think because, I'm happy to say it, so you don't have to. UK food is very bland. I think it's just a case of the ingredients and spices we use. The taste is normally...
Do you use spices?
Allegedly. Allegedly we use spices. The taste is normally very flat. So I think the emphasis of cooking there is very much the flavor of the food itself comes out. For example, the flavor of the meat, the flavor of the vegetables, etc. So coming to Malaysia where there's spicy, sour, sweet, fatty, all these tastes that come in, it took a lot of getting used to. And I think that's why a lot of foreigners, when they come to Malaysia, they just fall in love with the food because it is so much flavor and just an experience you get with your food that you wouldn't get over there.
Right.
So it did take a bit of time to get used to it. Now I find the challenge, if I go back to the UK, everything is very flat. because I'm just so used to like here you make can be spicy, sweet, you know, like, and there is just flat.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's our gift to the world, food, along with our accent. So you're taking both with you when you travel the world. When it comes to the diversity of your business, you've diversified away from content creation per se. Why have you done that? Because I thought the content creation was going good.
So I think, I mean, I've been doing content in one way, shape or form now for over 10 years. So I started my blog in 2014, 2015. So I've been through the blogging phase. I went through the YouTube stage for a few years. We moved into short form content, TikTok, IG, that sort of thing. And what I've seen over the years is content itself is changing quite a lot. If you compare back to when I first started on YouTube, it was very deep, documentary style, long videos. I mean, sometimes we would take 2 or 3 days to film one video. And, you know, it would do well on YouTube. People would sit down and watch it. And then as people's attention and platforms started to change to TikTok, the style of content became much more fast-paced. The style of editing, the way it wouldn't necessarily be an educational video about food. It would be a promotional video about food.
Or just eating, like the mukbang.
Yes, exactly. So the content itself changed. And I mean, I'm a food guy. I love food. And I managed to adapt as these new platforms came in. Then it started to get to the point where I thought, okay, I mean, I've been doing this for a while now. You know, people are coming to me saying, Rhys, I want to get involved in content, but I don't know how. So I realized, okay, actually there's a demand there for me to take this knowledge that I've built over 10 years of doing content and actually help other people. And then that way it's not just your own thing. Because I think when you're doing your own videos all the time, it's very you-based, you and the audience. Whereas when you start working with other people and now you're starting to see other people and brands also, you know, doing well in content, it makes you realize actually there's so much more you can do than just you doing content yourself. So that's sort of how it came about. And over the last few years, I mean, I would say the business has switched now to 80% of what I do now is actually for other people. Only 20, maybe even as little as 10% is my own content.
So how is that going? The scaling of a business model like that, I don't think it's very traditional. Jadi ramai yang mungkin beranggapan bahawa kalau memulakan perniagaan sebegini yang berbentuk perkhidmatan semata, sukar untuk kita ingin membina pasukan yang besar ataupun satu saiz perniagaan yang besar kerana susah untuk kita nak ajar orang. Pada pendapat Rhys macam mana?
I think the challenge is in any business, and what I've seen meeting, you know, hundreds of business owners is a lot of businesses are very built around the founder or the individual. Macam the whole business is based pasal dia. Sebagai contoh, kalau dia chef, dia buat makanan, kalau dia masak jadi. Kalau dia nak bagi orang lain masak, tak jadi juga. Kalau dia running any business, dia sahaja yang boleh buat. So it's the same with content. If the content is just you become the limiting factor because there's only one of you, right? So, I mean, it would be nice if we could just clone, copy and paste, you know, like, I mean, now with AI, I mean, I have experimented with creating an AI clone of me, but it's not quite there yet. So I think in any business, you reach that point where if you want to scale, you have to build the team. You have to build people that can do things, ideally do things better than you. So I would say now in my team, I'm not even the best content creator in the team anymore. You know, like, because I find people that are better than me, because then that way we can actually grow and scale bigger than just me as an individual.
Okay. So next question. You've created the better you. You have a team that's better than you. How do you retain talent?
Okay, this is a big challenge now. I think, you know, speaking to business owners out and about is, when it comes down to talent, is one of the biggest challenges people are facing. I think the way to retain talent is you have to make sure they are the right talent for you. So I do a lot of reading. I've read a lot of books from, you know, startup founders and other people. They say sometimes you can have like an A player for this company, but if they're on your company, they're not an A.
Right.
So you need to find people that fit with you, fit with your culture and your vision. And essentially, they're the sorts of people that want to grow with you. I think that's a key thing as well, which is sometimes it might not necessarily be they have the right skills yet, but they have the right attitude that you can bring them in and keep them in. And I think the other thing as well is a lot of people need to remember that when you're building a team and a company, yes, it's your company because you're the founder, right? I mean, it's your rice bowl, right? That's what you're doing. You can't just look at your team as employees, you know, pay them a salary and expect them to work the same like
You.
Exactly. So you have to build an environment where they're also achieving their goals. They see the vision and treating them more than just, like your employees. So I think that is the thing, because if people are in a good environment, they can see their growth, they get rewarded for their growth, and they grow with the business, they should stay. But it's not an easy thing.
Sounds like a lot of thought has gone into where you're going and what you've established so far. So let's go back to when you first made that shift from content creator to proper business owner and strategizing that scale. Who was your first hire?
Okay, so I actually had a previous business partnership that ended. So I had to start afresh again. So previously there, we had a team, I had a few people I worked with, and then, it was after the pandemic, I went my own way and I started fresh again. So it took me a long time for my first hire because I had a few people that I worked with on a freelance basis, and it was very project-based. So, we had a project, we would do something, and then if there's no project, we would sort of go our own ways. I realized that if you want to scale, you have to take that, I guess, leap of faith into hiring someone. So I actually did hire someone. I was very fortunate with my first hire that she was very aligned with the company and the vision. She came on board when we were in a very small office. It was just me, and I was trying to tell her, look, I know you see this Salleh guy just doing all this makan and, reviews, but we're building something bigger. And she got on board with the vision. And she stayed with us for a few years as we grew the company. But yeah, I think it's always that the first one is going to be a challenge. Because most of the time you'll get the wrong person, and that's the reality. You have to go through it. You have to be willing to fail and go through the bad experiences. I was very fortunate that it was a good experience. But that's the thing. If you want to scale and grow, you have to step out of your comfort zone actually.
Sebab ramai daripada penonton kita, bila mereka mulakan perniagaan itu, mereka cuba mencari cara-cara untuk memasarkan produk dan juga perkhidmatan. Jadi dengan itu, secara tidak langsung, mereka juga menjadi orang yang terkehadapan, yang di depan kamera untuk memberitahu, bercerita tentang produk masing-masing. Jadi mereka pun seolah-olah sudah menjadi pencipta kandungan secara tidak langsung. Jadi untuk mereka mendapat pasaran yang meluas, apakah agaknya message yang perlu disampaikan kepada pembeli? What do you think you delivered that was so unique that drew people into your content?
Okay, this is actually, I would say, probably a slightly controversial advice in the creative field. Is there seems to be, especially in marketing, there's this perception of you start with the audience and the customer, and you build a product or a service that the customer wants. That's the, business 101, right? You find something. Actually, I think when it comes to content and, especially now in the digital space, you need to be actually creating for yourself, and then the right audience will come to you. So there's a guy who I look up to. He is a music producer. He's worked with a few big guys in the US, and he says you create for yourself first, and then you attract the right people. So I think it would be a similar in this case, which is if as a content creator or business owner, we're too focused on trying to create for an audience, the product or the content doesn't then become authentic to us, and then you get burnt out very quickly. If you're creating something for yourself, a product for yourself, content for yourself that you enjoy, you will then attract the right people. And because you're doing it for yourself, it will be authentic and you'll enjoy it as well. So I think that's maybe one sort of advice, which is don't get too caught up in trying to create for an audience or for customers. Because then you can almost end up pandering to an audience, doing things a certain way because you have to do it that way.
And that's very unique advice. I think a lot of people are given the advice that they have to create for the mass, and then you throw your net out as wide as you can, try to catch the few fish. But in your case, I suppose the analogy would be you're building a pond of your own.
Yes.
Yeah, you're authentically creating that pond. Dengan itu kita akan berehat seketika. Tapi bila saya kembali, saya nak bertanya soalan yang mungkin ramai sedang fikir. Rhys ni orang Malaysia ke? Jangan ke mana-mana. Kembali bersama kami dalam We Hear You. Terima kasih kerana terus setia bersama saya dan tetamu saya, Rhys Williams. Rhys, saya nak bertanya sikit ni. Mungkin sensitif sikit lah sebab there's a lot of naturalization going on. Are you Malaysian yet?
Yelah, it's a controversial topic kan. I think I'm definitely still British. I would say maybe if you look at my soul is a bit sesat in the middle, you know? Because I've been here for 12 years now. So most of my adult life has been in Malaysia.
Oh, wow.
You know, I moved here when I was, 21? So I've grown up as an adult in Malaysia, but I'm still British. If you tengok IC, British lah.
Tengok
Mesti tak ada IC lah. Masih pakai passport. But I mean, I feel very close to Malaysia. I would call Malaysia my home, but I'm definitely not a Malaysian.
So there you go. Soalan itu sudah terjawab. Dia punya jiwa dah berjalur gemilang sedikit sebab banyak makan makanan Malaysia. Dan seterusnya, Rhys, mungkin ramai juga yang ingin tahu. Dulu mereka tengok Rhys, wajah lain, saiz pun lain. Tapi sekarang you nampak macam separuh daripada saiz dulu.
Half, kan?
Saya pernah menembual Rhys ketika beliau mula dulu. Dan pada ketika itu memang saya rasa Rhys ni dia authentic food reviewer lah. Memang hidup untuk makan. Tapi sekarang Rhys sudah berubah. Apa yang mendorong Rhys untuk menjadi lebih sihat?
Okay, saya rasa bila saya mula buat konten, sebab saya memang foodie kan. So memang akan makan. Dan masa saya start video dulu-dulu, dia betul-betul makan tau. Macam kita akan pergi contoh lah, Kelantan ke, Penang ke, Kedah ke. Kita akan shoot makan, lepas tu pergi makan. So bila buat macam tu bertahun, mestilah dia ada kesan dekat badan. Dan dia macam apa...
Well, you seem to enjoy it though.
I enjoy it lah. So it was good fun. It's like, how do you say, sikit-sikit lama-lama jadi bukit kan. So over time, you start to, how to say, makin bahagia lah.
Makin bahagia.
That's what they say, right? So I think it reached the point lah where I thought, okay, like, you know, I'm getting older. I really need to look after my health more. So I made
You're
it.
not that old. How old are you?
I mean, I'm now 33, I think.
Come on, that's not old.
But when my health was getting bahagia, you know, you start to realize you're not as young and as flexible as you used to be.
Yes.
And I realized like, okay, I really need to juggle my health more. So I made an effort to prioritize my health. And it was a long journey. There was lots of ups and downs. I mean, I think if you look at how long since I started, like my fitness journey has been at least 3 years, maybe even coming up to 4 years. So it wasn't an overnight thing. But I get a lot of people, ramai orang macam, suara kenal, tapi muka dengan badan lain. So it's like, okay lah, like I definitely look quite different to how I used to.
Right.
I mean, when we met last time, I think I was probably at my largest.
You had more hair though.
Yeah, I know. I think I had to, you know, my hair was getting so thin, like, especially under the lights. It was shining. I thought, you know, it's time to embrace it.
Welcome.
You know? And it's not that bad, actually, you know. I think
It's not. And you look very healthy now. You look like you lift a bit. Do you run? What's your routine like?
I mean, I definitely take care of my diet. I think you can't outwork a bad diet.
Okay.
I'm in the gym quite a lot. I was doing kickboxing and Muay Thai for a bit.
Whoa.
Basically, I would say all-round sort of health. So I've realized now that for me, how I would define my health is functional. You know, can I run, 5 km in a certain time? Can I do a certain number of pull-ups? Can I bench a certain amount?
Good.
So I've kind of set my standards and I work towards that. So the goal is very health focused, but the biggest thing for me is diet. I think when I first started, I thought, great, I'm in the gym, you work out, you get a pump on and then you go and makan. It's like, okay, you start to actually get fatter, right? So I realized you got to have the diet aligned as well.
So I just want to say congratulations, man. You look amazing.
Hopefully it was maintained like this. That's the challenge now, right?
We'll see it in the next interview.
Oh, okay, right?
Yeah, you might be ripping muscles by then.
I mean, now I think boleh lah.
Boleh lah. So, itu mungkin suatu yang juga ingin ditanya oleh penonton-penonton kita. Tapi kita kembali berbincang tentang aspek perniagaan pula. Untuk mencari keuntungan tu, sekarang pasarannya semakin sengit. Banyak yang mencabar yang menjadi pencabar-pencabar kepada Rhys, persaingan. Bila Rhys start dulu mungkin Rhys seorang, tapi sekarang dah ramai yang seumpama itu. Jadi apakah pandangan Rhys tentang dunia perniagaan yang penuh cabaran, yang penuh persaingan?
Yelah, ni sebenarnya betul juga sebab kalau dalam bisnes ada orang cakap dia panggil first mover advantage kan. Kalau you jadi yang first. Saya nak claim yang first Mak Salleh buat video makan ataupun yang Mak Salleh yang leverage benda tu.
Saya tak kenal yang lain lah. Yang buat video makan dalam bahasa Melayu memang kurang lah.
Dia okay, so rasa antara yang first lah. Kita boleh claim sikit lah tu kan.
Kena claim lah tu.
So bila you ada first mover advantage kan, you akan dapat the market first kan. Dan dia sama juga dalam business agency saya. Kita antara first yang specialize in TikTok content. So ni dah a few years now dah kita dah buat. When you have a first mover advantage, sebenarnya it's very easy to become complacent. Kita yang first, orang dah kenal kita, why orang akan pergi dekat competitor kita kan. That is actually a very dangerous situation. So when you have the first mover advantage, you jadi yang first, you tak boleh depend on that forever. So for example, for me, I dah nampak, especially in content creation, market dah makin ramai orang buat. Dan sebenarnya for me, it's a good thing. Because when I first started, there was how many je yang food reviewers in Malaysia. So you can normally tell when a restaurant is launching because you'll see the same faces go down. There'll be this guy, Rhys, this guy.
You had like an agency representing you, right?
Yeah, like it's like you can kind of see, right?
Right.
Now, I mean, there's so many content creators. I think it forces all content creators to be better because the market is competitive. But then for me, I realized this is why I need to focus on my other business avenue because it is getting competitive. So I think part of it is if you have a first mover advantage, use that to your advantage, but don't get complacent. You always have to be thinking of the next thing. So I made the mistake in my agency where we were one of the first TikTok shop partners in Malaysia. So I think when we first went there were 5 of us on the table. That was great. You know, we were one of the first. I went to an event a few months ago. There was 500 in the room.
Wow.
So I realized, okay, you can be the first, but if you don't do anything with it, if you don't keep adapting, I think that's how you stay ahead of your competition. So it's a good thing when there's lots of competition because it means, okay, if ramai orang nak buat, there must be a market for it. But macam mana kita nak lawan dengan ramai orang yang buat tu is we need to keep adapting. Kita tak boleh macam, oh, aku yang first lah, so
relax.
Relax.
Tak boleh relax.
Tak boleh relax. You need to keep on, otherwise you get left behind.
Betul. Seterusnya tentang pasaran baru. Rhys sudah lama buat konten dekat Malaysia ni berkaitan dengan makanan Malaysia. Tak nak jadi farang cari makan ke dekat Thailand ataupun mungkin Kuala cari makan dekat Singapura?
Ada juga terfikir, tapi saya rasa sebab, okay, ni sebab saya pernah terfikir pasal pasaran contoh Indonesia. Sebab bahasa boleh macam interchange. Makanan pun, yelah, is not too different.
Yeah, not too different.
Yelah, there's a lot of similarities. Tapi saya perasan kalau saya masuk sana dengan niat saya nak jadi famous content creator dekat sana, nak jadikan business semua, saya tak rasa dia akan jadi. Sebab bila saya buat dekat Malaysia, dia bukan niat nak I nak jadi famous, I nak buat duit. Dia jadi sebab saya buat apa saya suka. So kalau saya masuk sana dengan niat saya nak buat ni sebagai business, saya rasa dia takkan jadi sebab dia punya intention is very different. So I think for me, I'm quite happy with Malaysia. I'm not thinking of nak besarkan brand Mat Salleh Cari Makan to other places. I'm more thinking how can I add on things to this brand in Malaysia itself.
Okay, in the pipeline, what's next for Mat Salleh Cari Makan? What are you working on?
Okay, so this year, I mean, last year we rebranded our agency to MSCM Studios, so Mat Salleh Cari Makan Studios. So we've kind of got the brand there as well. This year's been a good year for us. We've done a lot of trade expos. We've done a lot of partnerships with events. So I think next in the pipeline is, I mean, we're seeing now the trend of a lot of businesses are moving online. And I think a lot of people now are realizing that social media is not a side thing.
Oh, yeah.
It used to be like you would give your social media to the intern, or if you're a restaurant, you give it to the cashier and say, okay, like you bought TikTok skit, you know? Now I think people are realizing actually social media can be the powerhouse of your marketing. So a lot of brands now are starting to realize this opportunity. So I think what's next in the pipeline for us is working with these businesses, these brands, to help them really unlock social media as a viable marketing channel for them. I think the difference is a few years ago, if I was to go and talk to a business and talk about social media, they would think, Allah, like, we're not so sure about social media. Now, when you talk, they're like, please, I need help with this. So I think that's the direction we're going in, is using our knowledge doing social media for 10 years to help these brands on social media.
Rhys, we're on We Hear You, a podcast by SME Bank. So let's talk about the fundamental thing that a bank runs on, money. How did you finance your startup back in the day? What were the financial components that went into your business, and what gave you the most grievance?
Okay, so I have been right from the start, I would say, a bootstrap guy. So I mean, even when I started years ago in the UK with my first business related to digital marketing, we were very small. We had a few ventures where we worked with investors, but it was never a case of our goal was to get money and then scale up. So I've always been a bootstrap guy. What I realize now is that if you want to scale your business, if you take the bootstrap route where you sort of fund yourself, like a project comes in, you use that fund, actually the growth is there, but it's a slow and steady growth.
Right.
I think there's definitely value in working with financial institutions, investors, in order to get the capital. And then your job as a business owner is how to deploy that capital effectively to generate a return. So for me, I've been, for a lot of years, was very much a project basis. We close a project, we use that money to upgrade our equipment, then we chase the next project. I think you have to find what works for you. I think the advantage is now, I mean, Malaysia is a growing economy and there's so many SMEs in Malaysia, is the market is very supportive of small businesses, and people shouldn't be afraid to take advantage of the opportunities there. Because, like, finance is like a fuel for your fire. It would be the same way on social media ads. You can grow your social media without spending on ads. You spend on ads, it grows faster. If you're running a business, you can grow a business yourself where you fund it yourself or you bootstrap it. If you want to scale, you can use financing to grow. I don't know, does that answer the question? Or
That does. What was your first big investment like, and how did you convince the investor? That's probably hot on the minds of any entrepreneur out there, because you already have maybe the seed capital, money you've accumulated from friends, family, and pardon me for saying this, fools, because it's your startup and you're trying to convince people. So that's normally the acronym used to describe money that comes into your first startup. But once you're already off the ground and you're looking to expand, it's no longer a seed fund. It's an expansionary thing that you're looking forward to. So how did you convince investors at that next level to come on board with you?
Okay, so again, this might be slightly atypical advice. So I used to be a very numbers guy. If I was doing a pitch or I was meeting an investor or even clients, I would be very numbers based. Here's where we are, here's what we project, here's the return, here's what we'll give you, yada, yada, yada. I think what I've realized now is numbers are important, but what's more important is the vision and the person. A lot of investors I've met have actually said numerous times they have invested in what would be traditionally described as bad business proposals, but the person pitching it was an investable person. So I think a lot of it is about the vision. So you have to be able to convince. Convince sounds like we're deceiving. I think, not to say convince in that sense, but you have to be able to sell your vision of what the future is and sell yourself as the right person to bring this vision in. So I think if you look at a lot of, even when you talk about massive, Silicon Valley level, multi-million investment deals, a lot of that comes down to the vision of the founder at the end of the day. So you yourself have to be investable. You have to as well put yourself on the line as you're investing in me. You have to believe in me.
Right.
If you can't convince the person or the investor or the person you're talking to that you are an investable product, it doesn't matter how good your business is. So I think that's something a lot of people overlook. They'll spend a lot of time on their presentation, their plans, but they won't spend any time on why should you invest in them as a person. So that's what I've seen.
Jadi ini suatu nasihat yang begitu penting, bagaimana untuk kita bukan saja meyakinkan pelabur dari segi nombor dan unjuran, keuntungan dan sebagainya, tapi juga tentang kita sebagai pemilik perniagaan itu sendiri. Mengapa mereka perlu melabur ataupun memberi pinjaman kepada kita sebagai seorang individu. Jadi ini merupakan salah satu cara pemikiran yang mungkin di luar daripada apa yang selalu kita diajar, untuk memberi unjuran positif dan sebagainya. Semuanya cantik dari segi nombor, tapi kalau yang membuat pitch tu pun tak begitu meyakinkan, itu adalah yang menggagalkan usaha anda untuk mendapatkan pelaburan yang lebih tinggi. So seterusnya, Rhys, mungkin sedikit kita mulakan dengan nasihat lah kepada pemilik-pemilik startup baru yang baru saja nak memulakan, bukan saja startup tapi juga perniagaan yang tradisional mungkin. Apakah nasihat utama yang boleh Rhys sebagai seorang pemilik perniagaan yang sudah lama beri kepada mereka?
Okay, saya tak yakin bagi nasihat dekat orang sebab semua orang punya situasi berlainan.
Betul.
Tapi saya boleh bagi nasihat dekat diri saya sendiri. Sebagai, kalau saya ada, how to say, time machine, I could go back and give myself some advice. A lot of advice, banyak nasihat boleh kata adalah nasihat klise. Macam dia bunyi macam inspiring, biasa. Tapi sebenarnya, the best advice adalah simple advice. So I think salah satu advice, nasihat, which is, I think, quite valuable, is it's true that until you quit and give up, you're not out of the game yet. I mean, you can apply this to sports, you could apply it to anything. You only really fail when you give up. And that sounds very cliche, so it makes a great motivational quote in a book. But it's actually very true, which is, things only fail when you yourself give up. There's one phrase, until death, all defeat is psychological. It's actually all in your mind. Business is full of ups and downs. I think anyone who's been in business will realize that your highs and lows come in cycles. Sometimes the same day will be an ultimate high and an ultimate low. That's the reality of business. So I think the advice is you have to be strong when you're down to keep going. And you also have to be humble when you're at the top to not get too cocky. And I've been there at the top, where you're at the top and you get too cocky and then pasti ada jatuh. But how you get up from the bottom is one of the things. So I think, again, it's a bit of a cliche advice, but the advice would be is really until you yourself give up, there's still hope there. Because there will be downs in business. That's the reality. I think another advice, if I was to go back and give myself, is, and this is probably more about keeping your ego in check. So it's advice I got from who I would call a friend or mentor of mine. He basically said the phrase of, you either increase sacrifice or reduce desire to get what you want. So sometimes if you have a goal and you're saying, I want to do this business because I want to get X, in order to achieve that, you will have to sacrifice something, whether it be your time, your money, your energy, to achieve it. If you're not willing to make that sacrifice, then tone down your desire. So I think this is a thing which is, there's nothing wrong with dreaming big, but are you willing to pay the price required to get there? Business is not an easy journey. When I first started out in my business, saya jadi orang yang macam promote jadi entrepreneur. Macam, weh, korang semua kena jadi entrepreneur lah. Ada business sendiri, ada duit sendiri, best lah. Macam nak promote. Sekarang tak. Sebenarnya saya cakap, kalau korang just nak duit dengan hidup senang, jangan jadi entrepreneur. It's not as easy as it looks. But if you're willing to make the sacrifice and put the effort in, boleh jadi. But it's not an easy path.
Okay, dengan nasihat yang klise itu tadi, tapi klise dan betul-betul kena pada tempatnya, kita akan berehat seketika dan kembali nanti segmen terakhir kita bersama dengan Rhys William. Jangan ke mana-mana, terus setia bersama kami dalam We Hear You. Kembali bersama kami dalam We Hear You. Tetamu saya, Rhys Williams, banyak ditanya tentang makanan, tentang lagu, tentang tradisi, kebudayaan Malaysia. Tapi itu boleh didapati dalam siri soalan-soalan pendek yang akan kita bawakan dalam episod-episod ataupun dalam pautan-pautan yang berikutnya. Jadi anda boleh saksikan itu nanti. Tapi kita nak bertanya Rhys tentang perniagaan dan bagaimana beliau sebenarnya gagah menghadapi sebarang cabaran. Rhys, when you started, you were, yes, one of the first movers, so you had that advantage. But why did your content take off where a lot of content creators today are struggling? In fact, becoming a YouTuber at one point in time was the go-to answer for any kid who had a dream. I want to be a YouTuber. So why did yours take off where so many others have failed?
It's an interesting question because I think there's a quote I've heard before. I'm not sure who said it. Somebody said along the lines of, "It took me 10 years to become an overnight success." So I think it's similar to content. You know, I was doing content for quite a long time before it took off. So people might see like you've suddenly become viral, suddenly overnight. But I mean, I was blogging for years before my blog went viral. I'd been doing very simple videos for quite a while and they were sort of average viewers and engagement. It was only after I'd been doing it for a while that it started to take off, and then the takeoff was quite, fast. So I think why it sort of worked was there was that combination of a few factors. I think I definitely don't deny the fact that you are a white British guy in Malaysia. Talking about Malaysian food in Malay is a very unique thing.
Right.
So makes you stand out from other content creators. I think one of the other things that added into that is we were talking about traditional Malaysian food, which, there were lots of comments at the time. Like, I'm a Malaysian and even I didn't know about this traditional food.
Right.
So I think it's...
Were there negative comments? Like, who are you to comment on?
Oh yeah, there was lots. In fact, there was one comment I remember on my first ever really viral video. The guy was so angry that a white guy was reviewing nasi lemak that he commented, he sent messages. I think he found our email address and sent an email about it. He was just really not happy with it.
Wow.
I think there's a whole topic you could do on hate comments as well. But I think you have to marry together factors that, what makes you unique. What are you talking about that's unique? And I think you have to find your own identity there, which is kind of similar to what I said earlier, but don't try to create for an audience. Right. So you can't just copy what other influencers or other creators are doing and expect it to work. You have to find your own way, but it will take a while for it to work. I think the misconception is it's a quick and easy path.
So there are a lot of young content creators out there who buckle under pressure. That means some of the comments that you've dealt with, I'm sure, for that gentleman who was upset with you reviewing nasi lemak would be one. You probably got comments similar when you review, let's say, a traditional banana leaf, and you have an angry gentleman saying you are not supposed to be talking about this food. Your palate is not sophisticated enough to go there. How did you deal with all the negativity is my question.
So I think it comes with the territory. Anyone who puts something out in the public domain will inevitably get negativity and criticism. I think the challenge is, how do we differentiate criticism and hate? So there's some legit criticism I've received about maybe my use of language, my technical criticism of the way the camera or the way the video is edited. So you can take criticism that is constructive criticism and use it to improve yourself. The challenge is, how do you separate out criticism and hate? Because there's a lot of hate comments. I used to screenshot them. Now I don't because there's so many.
Oh dear.
I think the challenge is, and it was actually I think a quote from a Gary V podcast I listened to years ago, where he said, if you are doing content and putting things out online in expectation of praise, as in you want people to come in and say, wow, you're so amazing. When you are looking for praise, the negativity will affect you more because you're looking for praise, you're getting negativity. Actually, his advice, if I interpreted it correctly, was you have to be indifferent to both. When someone comments and says, you're the best food reviewer ever, I love your content, you can be thankful for that. Don't let it get to your head. Because then when the next person comes along and says, well, balik your own country, you might Salleh, penjajah, it gets to you as well, right? So you have to be thankful for both. And a lot of the time, negative comments that aren't criticism that you can use to constructively improve yourself, but they're negative, they're just hate comments, I often ask myself, what would a person be going through in their life to feel the need to come out and express something publicly?
Right.
So you can actually be almost empathetic to them and understand they must be going through something. And you really have to be thankful for both. Don't let the positive ones get to your head, and the negative ones won't affect you as much.
Dalam soal ni saya rasa kita yang menjajah cita rasa dia. Sekarang dia sudah berubah dah. Dari segi makanan dia tak boleh lari dah. Dia kena makan masakan Melayu juga.
Dah kena jajah balik.
Reverse colonization.
Yes.
So we've talked about many aspects of your business. Finally, when it comes down to it, a business needs to make money. So what do you do with the profits? We don't want to talk about how you generate the profits. There are many ways, perhaps. But what do you do with the profits? Because you're still a business, and the next gig or the next video may not do as well as the last one. So how did you differentiate between revenue and then expansionary budgeting? How did you balance all these things? Because everything is up in the air when you're a startup bootstrap like yourself.
Yes. So I think I was very bad at this in the early days. I didn't have any financial management skills from a business perspective. It would be very much mouth to mouth, month to month, you know, what comes in, what goes out, pay this, pay that. Where I actually saw the benefit was understanding basic financial management, specifically strategic financial management. How do we use our financial figures to make strategic business decisions? Part of that would be things like margins, you know, client related, you know, like when you know your margins for certain products, you understand your operating expenses, you understand the whole financial structure of your business. That is something I think a lot of businesses need to invest in gaining that knowledge, whether they themselves learn it online. I mean, you can learn about this stuff online, whether you hire an accountant who can explain it to you. I think you have to have that knowledge, because your job as the owner of the business is to essentially identify where your profits will generate a return. Whether it's a case of reinvesting back into your business, is it a case of expanding? Is it a case of maybe you take your profits out, you invest them in an investment product, or how you allocate that capital is actually your job as the business owner. But in order to do that, you need to have the knowledge there. I think everyone falls into that trap, and I fell into that trap myself, of you take your profits out, buy yourself some nice things, you get the nice car, you present yourself to the world as a successful business person,
Right.
but actually you're not investing back in the future. But to do that, you need to understand the financial workings of the business. That you need the specialist knowledge. I think that's the most important thing. Because I never used to be, I used to be a very much like, oh, this month we made this much, great. You know? It's not a long-term thinking like that. Definitely not.
Jadi ini juga satu masalah yang mungkin dialami oleh ramai ahli perniagaan baru, terutama sekali apabila berjaya mendapat satu pulangan yang baik, tidak dilabur semula dalam perniagaan, tapi dilaburkan untuk membeli barang keperluan, ataupun bukan keperluan lah, kehendak. Barang kehendak yang mungkin menampakkan kita sebagai berjaya, tapi sebenarnya itu bukanlah hala tuju yang sesuai dan tidak memberi kesan jangka panjang. Seperti Rhys sudah bertahan berapa lama? Lebih daripada 12 tahun.
I mean, saya dah ada business sendiri since saya umur 17 tahun, 18 tahun. So this one is coming up to more than 15 years.
15 years, 15 tahun. Jadi itu adalah satu tempoh yang lama ya. Seterusnya, media sosial ni, kalau ramai yang berkata bahawa ia adalah enjin baru pertumbuhan perniagaan, seperti mana Rhys katakan tadi, ia adalah satu bukan satu lagi benda yang boleh kita tolak tepi ya, adalah benda yang menjadi asas kepada naik turun perniagaan kita. Apakah strategi paling sesuai untuk setiap pemilik perniagaan bila berdepan dengan media sosial?
Strategi yang sesuai sebenarnya ialah banyak juga strategi yang sesuai. Saya rasa yang paling senang kata strategi sesuai adalah kita kena anggap social media as sesuatu yang serius, yang memang kita kena utamakan dalam bisnes. And we also have to make sure we plan our social media dengan betul. For example, social media has often been considered something that is free and easy. Like you said, you tolak tepi. Actually, it needs to be the serious part of our business marketing. Part of that is we have to plan it properly. We have to make sure we have the right knowledge for each platform, what we are doing on each platform, and make it part of a structured plan. The same way in sebagai contoh untuk marketing traditional seperti billboard, kita bukan just pergi tampal satu billboard lepas tu biar macam tu. Kita akan ada rancangan, okay, billboard mana ada traffic sesuai, pukul berapa kita nak letak, berapa banyak billboard. So bila dia macam traditional marketing, orang dah biasa buat dengan cara yang dirancang dengan betul. Tapi social media orang anggap macam okay, kita just push je. Actually, we need to take the same level of planning and apply to our social media.
Padahal lebih mudah untuk mengukur kejayaan di media sosial sekarang because you have all these analytics.
Yes,
kan?
exactly.
Dia boleh mengukur siapa yang menonton, siapa yang tidak menonton, komen dan sebagainya.
Yes.
Adalah lebih mudah untuk merangka satu strategi yang berkesan. Dan dalam kesempatan ni, saya nak bertanya juga kepada Rhys tentang kesan AI dan teknologi ke atas perniagaan Rhys. Sebab video, social media semua dah bergerak ke arah itu. Bahkan ada algoritma yang canggih-canggih lah, yang boleh membuat semua kerja untuk kita tak payah buat apa. Apa pendapat Rhys tentang pertumbuhan AI dan lambakan AI dalam dunia content creation?
Saya dalam camp yang sokong AI, bukan sokong 100% AI yang ada, tapi ramai orang dalam kalangan kreatif anti-AI. Dan saya boleh faham sentiment tu, tapi saya lebih dalam camp of AI sebenarnya satu tool yang bagus kalau kita gunakan dengan betul. So sebenarnya cara dan function dia adalah kita kena cari tool yang support apa kita dah buat. Kita tak boleh just bagi AI buat semua. Sebab ikut pengalaman saya, dia belum lagi sampai level yang 100% kita boleh pass. Tapi dalam masa yang sama, kita kena jangan jadi buzzword dengan AI. Oh, semua nak AI. Kita kena cari AI yang mana dan tools mana yang support apa kita dah buat untuk buatkan workflow kita lagi mudah. Bukan nak just pass semua semata-mata sebab AI. Dan sebenarnya, itu yang cabaran sebenarnya. Sebab it's easy to just, oh, semua orang guna AI, kita just buat. Tapi macam mana AI tu boleh support proses yang kita dah ada, dan AI yang mana yang support benda tu, bukan just chat GPT semua kan. So you have to really understand your own business process first and how to match the tools that are in AI with that process. But it's not going away sebenarnya, AI.
Yep, it is here to stay. Jadi kita kena mengadaptasi perniagaan kita untuk kegunaan yang lebih bersesuaian dengan AI. Sebab AI ni dia akan terus bercambah. Dia akan terus menjadi lebih baik. Seterusnya Rhys, kita dah sampai ke penghujung perbualan kita ni. Saya nak bertanya soalan yang lain sedikit. Saya tak mau tanya nasihat sebab tadi dah tanya nasihat dah. Sekarang ni saya nak tanya definisi kejayaan. Rhys, apakah definisi kejayaan untuk diri anda dan juga bagaimana anda melihat dunia? What is your vision of success? What it looks like for you, and what it should look like for everyone in your opinion?
I think I definitely can't give a definition of success for other people because I think everyone needs to find their own definition. Okay, so my definition of success for others would be you need to find your own definition of success that comes from yourself, is not from anyone else, is not from what the media says or what this influencer says. You need to sit with yourself and find your own definition of success because for everyone it will be different. Some people's definition of success will be to take their profits out and buy a nice car.
Yes.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. That's not my definition, but we'll let them be. I think my definitions of success for me is, am I happy with what I'm doing?